Hello everyone, eBayers and fellow eBay sellers alike. Welcome to my presentation about how to turn your inventory into cash so that you get the most value for your inventory. So I have two suits for you right here. One is a tuxedo and one is a regular suit. Can you tell me which is the more expensive one out of the two? Now they're both made by the same brand, and I'm going to tell you which one. So most people, unless you're familiar with men's suits brands, would probably think, oh, perhaps tuxedo because it's more formal, it's more rare. But when you examine the labels, you can tell that they're two different labels despite being made by the same brand. Now, the green label retails for around $300. But the purple label here retails for about $6,000. And you could have had that line in your inventory and not knowing. So that's why I'm here to share my knowledge so you can find these diamonds in the rough in your inventory. And I know what you're thinking, who is this guy and why should I listen to him? And I swear that I'm qualified. My name is Alex Carrera. I'm the director of Save a Suit. We're a nonprofit organization that helps veterans. And we also have an eBay store. We have been selling for over 10 years, and we've sold over 42,000 items on our eBay store. And I'm just very solution oriented, and helping out is one of my passions. So I'm here to share my knowledge with you so that hopefully it helps you out as well. So I like to keep things short and simple, and we're just gonna go through this really quick. Of the agenda, it's like you just wanna divide and conquer, separate so that you can be strategic, inspect for quality, and I'm gonna give you solutions on what to do in case that you come up with any issues with your inventory. So very simple, divide and conquer. So listen, I have been there. You might be thinking, oh, well, he's a bigger store, he has a big team, so it's easy for him to tackle all these behemoth piles. But back when we first started, I was an army of one. I was the only person doing this. So I've been where you guys have been. And listen, I'm not the strongest person. I'm not the biggest guy. There was no way I was going to tackle a pile that was bigger than me. So I found a way to divide and conquer, to make those behemoth piles manageable. So what you want to do, instead of taking the whole thing, you want to break it down into smaller chunks so that you can inspect the items. And you have to do that in order to be strategic. Now, after that, you want to separate by categories. You want to separate the items by categories so that you can become very strategic in what you are looking for, especially when it comes to looking at value. Now, this is all very boring to tell you, so I'm just going to show you. So here's me and my team. We are currently sorting through those piles. There's actually a lot more behind the camera that you can't see. And now we are taking the items and sorting them by categories so that we can inspect them. So what we sell at Save a Suit is we sell clothing that is formal. So suits, dress shirts, dress pants, anything that you might wear to a fancy dinner or an interview. Now, we also get clothing such as t-shirts or even used underwear. And it's important that we declutter the space and that we immediately remove what we can sell from what we could sell. Once we take out all the unsellable items, we focus on what we have. As you can see right here, we have all the suits that we can sell. And it's super important to be super organized. That way you become better at being strategic and about checking. And now let's get into the meat and potatoes of things. Inspecting for value and quality is a huge part of what we do because there's no one size, not one size, there is no one price fits all for any category. So going back to the example about the two suits, even though they're both by the same brand, the different labels gives it a very different value. So something I look for immediately is I look for brands, and that is something that is true across all selling platforms. It is true across all types of inventory, whether it's clothing, whether you're selling toasters. Some brands just sell for more than other brands. So you always want to do your research when you're looking for the brand to see if you're valuing your items appropriately, to see that if you're selling the items at a reasonable price, because you don't want to undercut the price that you're going to be selling for. You also want to look for something, other notable things about the item, such as like what it's made of, right? So let me give you a quick tidbit about the fabric in suits. Did you know that there's this rare wool called vicuña wool? It's made by like 26 sheep. There's only 26 of these sheep in the entire world. And the fabric is so rare that the suits that are made by this fabric cost north of $20,000. So by simply having a tag that says vicuña wool on it, you have a $20,000 suit in your inventory, and you might have not known it had you not done the research. So it's super important that you take these small details because you never know what's going to give what value. Other things to look for is you want to just check if anything is currently like in style, in season, or is trending. So for example, like 90s items are very in style right now. So you might want to check for something that is currently trendy, fashionable, because it'll sell for a higher premium than things that are kind of going out of style. Right now, vintage clothing is very popular. So there are certain items that we can sell for a higher premium because they are more in demand. So you always want to be very vigilant about doing your research in your industry to figure out what is the hot seller so that you're not missing out on that. Because you don't want to sell a $20,000 suit for 30 bucks and you can be selling it for like $1,000. There are other things you should look for that might take away from the value, such as damage or any blemishes. In our store, we sell suits, but we also sell some suits that have some slight damage. Now, just because an item is damaged, it doesn't mean it's not usable or it doesn't have value. Obviously, you have to price your item accordingly. So, for example, if you're selling a suit for $100 normally, you might want to consider selling your suit at a discount for like 50 bucks, let's say, if it has like any type of damage, like a little stain or a little rip. Think about your buyers and think what's reasonable for you. If it works for you, it's probably also reasonable for your buyer as well. So, somebody might not be willing to buy a suit at $100 if it has damage on it, but they might just buy it if you sell it at like a 50% discount, right? So find the right price that works with your margins. Other ways to like get value out of items that are damaged is you might want to try selling it as a bundle. So for example, we sell dress shirts. Instead of just throwing away the 3 damaged dress shirts, I can bundle them together in a 3-for-1 deal and sell them at the price of 1 shirt. And that way I can recuperate some of that value instead of just simply throwing them away and getting no value out of it. And if you send the right message to your buyer, it might also resonate with them. So for example, for you, it might be 3 damaged shirts, but for your buyer, it might be like, wow, I get 3 shirts for the price of 1. That's awesome. And they might be okay with like cleaning it or just repairing it themselves. So you always want to find a way to give your buyers value, even if there's something wrong with the item, because you never know who is looking for what. And now, in case that there is something that you cannot use, or maybe it's just a little too damaged for your own personal store, consider giving your unused inventory to charities. So this is where my shameless plug comes in. Did you know that Save a Suit is a nonprofit organization that helps veterans? We provide suits and professional clothing, attire, and other resources. And we are funded by our eBay store. So every proceed from the sales goes to our veterans program to help veterans across the country. Just because you might not be able to sell an item in your store doesn't mean it doesn't have value for someone else. So consider giving it to your local charity. So the key takeaway from this is to divide and conquer. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with these piles, especially if you're a team of 1 or 2. You always want to tackle them in small groups because that's going to help you be a lot more strategic. It's super important that you do your research, that you thoroughly inspect your items for quality, such as brand, what it's made of, or anything else that might give it value, because you want to get the most bang for your buck. But you won't know that unless you do your research and know what is valuable and what isn't. You don't want to undersell something for less when you could be selling it for more. And in case you do run into any damaged inventory, try alternate selling strategies. Try to sell bundle deals, try to sell items at a discount, and if ultimately you can't use them, consider giving them to charity. Well, that is it for me, guys. Thank you so much. I will be here at the live Q&A if you guys have any questions. And other than that, happy selling.